Let's talk about the permission to want more, what's next and what's left. Because if you're like me, you're heading into this third act, the back nine, the second half, whatever you want to call it. I like to think of it as act three, as in 60 plus. I turned 60. I heard somebody say this is our third act, and I thought, wow. Okay, it is really time to look at where I'm at and what else I might want to do. And so that's why one of the reasons we have Unabashed You, and then also why we have this series Permission to Want More, which is going on in the podcast right now. What's next and what's left? We're asking guests different questions. And so we created some reflections to go with this. And this is a companion guide for the listener. So if you like what you hear, reach out through unabashedyou@gmail.com and we will send you a copy. All right, permission to want more. What's next and what's left? Let's go. If you're here, it probably means that something in the podcast or right now arrived, stirred something in you. Maybe it was a question you hadn't asked yourself in a long time. Maybe it was a quiet realization that there's still something more in you, more purpose, more courage, more life. And around here, we like to say, brave enough. Are you brave enough to take that first step? Brave enough doesn't mean you have to reach 100% of bravery. What we're going through right now, isn't about fixing your life. It's about creating space to reflect, space to listen, space to consider this next chapter of your life, and that it might be more meaningful than you imagine. And can I just say that I think it's the sweetest season so far? That's just my own opinion. So throughout this permission to want more, what's next and what's left, we've been exploring a simple but powerful idea that you are allowed to want more, not because your life hasn't been good, not because gratitude isn't important, but because growth doesn't have an expiration date. God is still writing your story. So take your time as we go through this right now. Listen to the episodes, pause when something hits, and write honestly. So just remember, there are never wrong answers here, none of best you. There are only your answers. So reflection number one. Where did that go? Oh, are you serious? Well, I got stapled wrong. How fun is that? Okay, reflection one. Who said you're done? I want to know who said that. Are you saying that to yourself? Many women and some men quietly decide that certain dreams or desires no longer belong to them. It's not like this decision you made, it just kind of happens over time. But who actually made that decision? Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Isaiah 43:18 and 19. So here are some questions for you. Write these down or reach out and get this guide for yourself. Where have I quietly decided it's too late for me? Where have I quietly decided it's too late for me? What dreams or interests have I stopped talking about? What dreams or interests have I stopped talking about? Sometimes this kind of harkens back to childhood in that maybe there was an interest you had then that you kind of stuffed down, pushed aside, ignored, and now you kind of want to check it out. Nothing wrong with that. I started tap dancing again recently for fun, just for fun. You get to. Next question. If I believe the best was not behind me, I might, I believe the best was not behind me. I might, okay, so yeah, what would you do? What little step would you take? Reflection two, the permission question. Sometimes the biggest barrier to change is believing we're allowed to want something different. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Psalm 37:4 doesn't always come the way you think it might or want it to, but it will. It does still come. So, some questions for you. What do I secretly want in this season of life? What do I secretly want? What stops me from saying that out loud? There's power in saying something out loud. I will just tell you that most recently I've been able to say I'm a coach in addition to a podcaster, and that took me a while to say out loud. Blogger. Okay, that took me a little while. And now coach. Now you see how I can say it now? I can say it now. But it took a while, and that's that darn imposter syndrome. So, what stops you from saying it out loud? Those little voices in your head. Oh, this is good enough. This is good enough. This is good enough. What if God has more for you? You're going to leave those blessings on the table? That's something I ask myself. Our next question, what might change if I allowed myself to explore it? If I allowed myself to explore tap dancing again, painting again, sketching again, writing poetry again, taking photos again, and doing, a particular thing with them. I don't know. What might change? You might change. You might feel more fulfilled. It might just scratch that good little itch that you have. So next, reflection three, what's left? What's left? If we're heading toward or at 60 or more, what's left? It's go time. Rather than thinking about the past, this question invites us to consider the time still ahead. And it's a gift. Think about it. Not everybody made it to 60. Not everybody did, or 50, or wherever you are right now, 70, wherever it is. Not everybody made it. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Psalm 90:12. So, if you would for a minute, imagine you have 15 to 20 vibrant years ahead. Okay, I like that. What would matter most? What would matter most? And I think for most of us, we would say family, time with family, some time with friends, maybe some travel. But what else? What else? That thing that's just for you. And by the way, it being just for you doesn't mean you're not going to share it with others, that you're not going to serve, but it's the thing that's yours. And what would I want to experience or create or contribute to? That kind of dovetails with that. Something to think about. And that's what spawned this whole Unabashed You movement podcast, all of it, wanting to speak into you all to take those remaining years and just really let them come alive for you in the fullest, best way possible. All right, last question for reflection three. What feels unfinished? What feels unfinished? If you wanted to write that book, you better get started, or I don't know. There's so many, really, the possibilities are endless, but whatever that is, let's identify it. Let's identify it. This is not about feeling bad. This is about inspiring you, lighting that little fire underneath to kind of go, oh, okay, I guess it's go time. I guess we need to get moving on this. All right. That was reflection three. Let's go to reflection four. Boy, these are so out of order. Oh, it's on the other page. These got stapled all wrong. Oh boy. Okay, reflection four. What's next? So if you were able to identify perhaps what's left, we want to go with what's next, because either way you do it, what's next or what's left, there's still more that you want to do, more that you get to do. This is not a should. You've got to 86 those shoulds. It's not a should. It's a could and perhaps a get to. I like that. So reflection four, what's next? Clarity about what's left often leads to the question that what might be next. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. Psalm 37:5. Where in my life do I feel a sense of restlessness or curiosity? That could be fun. What opportunities or ideas have I been quietly dismissing? Have you been dismissing something without really pursuing it because you think it's too late, because you feel like you should be grateful. There's that should again. If fear wasn't in charge, what step might I take? And that's a really good one. And that leads me to a question that I often have asked myself, who would I be if I weren't afraid? Because fear is the thing that really likes to slow us down. And fear comes in all kinds of different disguises. And we're going to talk about that in our next webinar on April 2nd. So if fear wasn't in charge, what step might I take? Reflection 5, facing the fear. And again, we're going to be talking about that very soon. Fear often shows up right before growth. So if you are a little bit excited, a little bit afraid, that is a green light. And that probably means that you're about to stretch, you're about to bloom, you're about to grow. And that is a good thing. I want you to think of like those athletes that, we just had the Olympics not too long ago and all that they had to go through. Do you really think they weren't afraid right before they had to do the thing? Or a performer right before they go on stage? Do you think they weren't afraid? Of course, of course. That would be probably happens, but I would say likely very unusual that there isn't some of that nervous, fearful energy. Oh, how am I going to do? How's this going to go? What are people going to think? But the idea is we're never going to get rid of that. But can we turn it down? Can we turn it down? So the goal isn't to eliminate fear, it's to move forward anyway. And like we say here, do it scared. It doesn't mean there aren't other feelings there. There are, and there is a little bit of fear, and that is okay. That's okay. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. That's 2 Timothy 1:7. And of course, we know perfect love casts out fear. So the more we love and the more we step into that, the more fear we can kind of turn down. What am I afraid might happen if I pursue something new? So if you pursue something new, what are you afraid might happen? What people might think of you? I don't know. But guess what? It's more important what you think of you and that you are pursuing the things that God has placed in your path, in your heart, in your mind. That's way more important. And we can coach you on the other stuff, kind of, take some of those thoughts and work with them and get them to calm down as well. What am I afraid might happen if I don't? What am I afraid might happen if I don't? Oh my gosh, this is so good because we've got fear of failure and fear of success. Gosh, you don't want to have regret. The top 5 fears of the dying have regrets all over things they didn't do, relationships they didn't, nurture, so many different things that they wish they had done. And we just did a blog on that a couple weeks ago if you want to look that up. The 5 fears, we don't want those regrets. I mean, the 5 regrets, we don't want to have those. Okay, that was reflection number 5, facing the fear, and 6, becoming the woman who. Every next chapter begins with becoming. You don't actually know how it's going to go. And even those people that you feel like are really successful and they've really made it and they've really done X, Y, and Z, they did not know how it was going to go. They had a plan, a loose plan, maybe a super structured plan, but even if they had that, it's still not going to go the way it was planned. Some of it will, and some of it won't. That's the 50-50 rule. And that is something to remember. You have to become, you have to step into it, or you're settling and calling it wisdom, which is something else that we've been talking about. So every next chapter begins with becoming. That little caterpillar does not know what's about to transpire and that it's going to be a butterfly and fly off. It doesn't know that. It becomes that. So be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Let's let's fill out these short well, in your head or write it down, which is even better because we know when we write something, it has more power and it sticks with us. There's a whole science that goes with that. I'm not making this up, not at all. All right. The woman I'm becoming no longer apologizes for. What do you no longer apologize for? Being yourself, trying the thing, doing the thing, saying no, boundaries, whatever it is. And by the way, we have 10 things Christian women over 60 need to stop apologizing for on our website. Just click on it and I'll send that to you pronto. That's another good one. So good. You no longer apologize for what? You are becoming a woman who says yes to what? And probably says no to what? That's another good one I should have added here. And protects her energy by, because it's important when we listen to our bodies and they say, hey, just sit down for 20 minutes, read, or just take a moment, meditate, prayer, whatever kind of fills you is a really good and healthy thing to do. And how about the woman you're becoming? Trust God more deeply by what? We call it faith because we don't know. We don't have all the answers. That's why it's faith. And that's where the trust comes in. You have to trust, or I would say, you get to trust. You get to trust. So, just one small step. Listening to this is a step. Uh, Contacting us at unabashedyou@gmail.com and having us send you is a step. You don't need to change everything. Just start with a step. The Lord directs the steps of the godly. Psalm 37:23. So, what is your next small step? When will you take the step by? Guess what? Here's the other thing. If we calendar things, if we actually put them on our schedule, they're more apt to happen than if we just kind of keep them floating around here in our mind. So, when will you take that step by? And a final thought for you. It's something inside of you has been nudging you toward more clarity, more courage, or more purpose. Pay attention. The next chapter of your life may not be about slowing down, it may be about becoming. And remember, you are not behind, you are not finished, and it is not too late. And if you want to have a conversation, that'd be wonderful. You can do that through unabashedyou.com. And we can definitely schedule a brave enough conversation just to chat and see where you're at. So, what do you do now? If this stirred something in you, that's good. It's a great place to start. First steps can be hard, but you know you're brave enough to take a step, even if it feels a little scary. Probably feels a little bit exciting too, and that's a green light to go, which I talked about a little bit ago. If you're in a season of asking what's next, let's chat and see where you're at. I enjoy talking with women who are exploring their next chapter. If you'd like to request a complimentary conversation, you just go on unabashedyou.com and click the button for Brave Enough, and it will have ourselves a conversation. It would be my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. We are able to go through some reflections that are going along with the podcast series and blog that we are in now, Permission to Want More, What's Next and What's Left. And if I can help you in any way with being brave enough to take your next steps, it would be my pleasure. Thanks so much. Have a good day.